almost like evolution. Like this is a sea animal that's evolved for thousands of years to become like a dolphin, and that's people figuring out what works over time. Prospector. Now the big advantage of a 52-pound boat is in your portaging and your transition time. So it's just so much easier. It's ridiculous how much easier it is, and how much less likely you are to strain your body when you're doing this by yourself. So 52 pounds is easily transported. It's easily lifted to your shoulders. It's easily, you can easy to walk with. I could go for 10 miles, or better yet, I could probably have my pack with 45 pounds in it and the canoe at 52 pounds and have the same weight that I would have just with the canoe, with the old one. So this is a long lake. It's a little bit windy, and give this boat a little test today. I'll roll it onto my thigh and down on the ground. Easy, easy peasy. Okay, now that we're out of the wind, look at up front here. Look at all the room for cargo. So it's easy to take 3 weeks of supplies here. You could fit 4 canoe barrels or 2 canoe barrels in 2 packs, which is probably what we'd bring for a long 2-week-long trip. Given the depth of the boat and the capacity, it might do a moose solo. Oh, there's a plane. It's either a plane or wind sounds. This thwart here, right in front of me here, this thwart, I'm gonna see if I can make a little bracket and turn that into a kneeling thwart. On a float plane, let it get by us. We're in a protected part of the lake here, so the wind is gone. It really moves well, the boat. This Prospector design has got a combination of being able to run straight, it tracks well, and yet it's got just enough rocker, 2 inches on each end, to move well, and it's got high ends so that it is useful in whitewater. It's a master of none, but it's a really great all-around design. This one's slightly used. The other Super Tripper they had, or Super Cruiser, had a little less rocker at the end, a little less, longer, had about the same capacity. So I saved a little money and went with the slightly used. This Layup, as you look at it, it's very thin on the sides, but on the bottom it's very thick and rugged, and it uses flexible epoxies, resins, and basalt and Negra, and they call it their brute force layup, and it's a very strong layup. This one is 52 pounds. The guy who ordered these in said he put a few extra layers on the bottom, had them put a few extra layers on the bottom, so they come at 48 pound specs. This one's got an extra 4 pounds of stuff in it. They're all out of outfitting stuff. I couldn't get the vinyl. There's only 3 in town. I bought the 3, but I couldn't get all the D-rings put in. And the manufacturer says to use contact cement from LePage rather than the fancy vinyl glues. But you see the width of the boat and the depth. It's got a really good amount of room for cargo. So this is a really great tripping canoe. And I'm trying to sell off my Royalex Old Town Tripper. It's been a great boat, but at 90 pounds, probably the way it's outfitted, maybe even a little more. So 40 pounds, probably more than this. It's starting to kill me. It's moving around, and my daughter couldn't move it, even with a friend. And now she can take this boat and go. And solo, I can take this boat and go, and portaging is going to be a breeze. Really handles nicely. Let's see how it turns, Jane. Yeah, it's a nice turning boat. And even though it's 17 foot, a little bit over 17 feet, I think I have the size and strength to probably solo this boat okay. That's when the high winds the high ends become a bit of a nuisance in wind. You just have to trim it really well. If you don't trim it well, you'll have trouble, but if you trim it well, it'll be fine. And you might have to retrim and trim and just have a movable pack in your boat. I really like it so far. We'll have to take it on a river trip. This is our preliminary. Couldn't be happier with his layup. It's really stiff. Seems to be super strong. I like it a lot. For recreational use, I find this to be very similar in stability to the Tripper. It's got the same sort of D kind of shape to it, with a fairly flat floor and then rounded at the ends. So it's got good initial stability, and yet I think you could lean this over very nicely solo. Very similar shape. You can't lose with a Prospector. It's just Bill Mason. How can you go wrong following Bill Mason, the grandfather, the father of the Canadian canoe movement? It's just not red. Okay, Jane, if you had the Royalex canoe, could you even do this?
No.
Yeah. It makes a big difference, the lightweight.
Yeah.